Hello everyone. So I made a Victorian dress in the same style as one of the scarf things I made. Now even if you gave me every tool in the world to help you draw lines, I would still draw a line as straight as insert gay YouTuber here. So I got a pre-made pattern. The most trustworthy source for Victorian patterns is Truly Victorian. I bought their 1860s ball gown bodice pattern, spend a whole afternoon putting it together, and then discover I have an upper body build like a dude. I'm wide and flat. Tracing size E for the back pieces and size C for the front piece. I made a mock-up. It looked like it fit, so I cut the pieces out of my fashion fabric. Now the pattern gives you half an inch seam allowance, but they add lining and I don't. So I cut 1 centimeter around each pattern piece. Then spent an entire afternoon tracing lines 2 centimeters away from the edge and destroyed my back in the process. I started with prepping the sleeves, because I wasn't gonna do the one from the pattern. I had tried that for my mock-up, and it turned out really ugly, and I was too lazy to find out what went wrong. So I hemmed the bottom, closed the sleeves, hemmed the raw edges and they were ready. I then moved on to the bodice. I started by sewing the 2 back pieces together. I then stitched the darts on the front pieces, sewed the front to the back, sewed the 2 front pieces together, and finished all raw edges. I then sewed the shoulder seams, and finished their raw edges. I hemmed the back edges, so I could apply grommets later. I then sewed all the boning channels, using the seam allowance. I added 2 channels with a small ribbon at the back. I then hemmed the bottom. I used zip ties for my bones, cut them all to length, and inserted them into the channels. I then sewed the sleeves to the armholes. Then I cut a strip of blue lace. I added a small piece extra to get the right length, and hemmed all the raw edges. Then my mom sewed it to the bodice, zigzagged the raw edge and top stitched it, so it would lay flat. Final step is to add some eyelets, and cut the ribbon, so I can close it. Next part is the skirt. I start by cutting 9 cm strips out of the sand fabric and 16 cm strips out of some blue fabric. I then sew them together with a 1 cm seam allowance. I hem the raw edges and create the box pleats that I then secure together. After sewing together 9 sand strips and 10 blue strips, I tried it on and found out that it would be too large if I added another sand strip. So to fix this, I cut the last 2 blue strips in half. I then cut out my waistband and sew it to the dress. I added some small loops out of some leftover ribbon to create a lace closure at the waistband. I originally wanted snaps, but the waistband wasn't large enough for that. I sew the 2 halves together except for the top 22 centimeters. I hem all the raw edges and add snaps to those 22 centimeters. The waistband ended up too tight, so I removed the lacing part and inserted a piece of elastic. Having tried the dress on, there are several problems. First of all, the waist edge is like 2 centimeters above my waist. Secondly, and most annoyingly, the shoulder straps don't hold in place. I'll have to shorten them, but I also think I'll have to remove, at least partly, the darts. I think the darts create a pocket at the chest. Since my boobs don't need a pocket to fit inside anything, there is just a lot of extra fabric that causes the neckline to be too big and thus the straps to fall off my shoulders. All in all, this was a nice learning experience, and I'm excited to improve my pattern and make dresses that actually fit me in future. Okay, bye. See y'all in hell.